Happy Wednesday, everybody. You've made it halfway through the work week. Well done, well done. 2 more days till the weekend, so something to look forward to right there. And of course, 10 p.m. So you know that it's time for Golden Bluetooth to go live. So real quick, I want to shout out everybody. Appreciate everybody stopping by and checking out the channel. And make sure to hit the thumbs up. Hitting those thumbs up, really, really important. I try to emphasize that on every live show. It's not for a pat on the back or anything like that, but it really helps hit the YouTube algorithm, and it gets it suggested more, and more people see it and click on it, and that's how we grow the audience. So it's not just helping me, it's also helping you as well. So we greatly appreciate people hitting the likes and the comments. Comments help too. And oh yeah, if you have a question, comment, troll intent, correction, you want to correct me, maybe I say something incorrect, or you think that I said something incorrect, Super Chat's the best way to get my attention and to get it on the screen. It's that little dollar sign that you see on the bottom right hand corner. Anything in that Super Chat's going to go on the screen. And you know, I've said it before, but I got to say it again. Us YouTubers, we always appreciate those donations, and especially college football YouTubers. In the regular season, we appreciate it, but in the off season, a little bit more, because it takes more work in the off season to keep things running smoothly, to get the views and to keep the revenue, flowing. That way we can continue to do this 24/7. So off season definitely helps with those donations, and we greatly appreciate it. And you guys are great supporters, so shout out to everybody. Quick reminder. Golden Bluetooth and Mint Mobile have partnered up, and we have the link in the description of this video. All you do is click that link, and you will get a deal for your cell phone service, good cell phone service, for as low as $15 a month. Save a lot of money. We're all on a budget, right? We're trying to figure out, man, how can I save some money? Well, you can't really go any lower than, unleaded gas, the basics. So gas, and you got to eat, and this and that. How can you cut corners? Well, your cell phone service. You can get a lower rate without sacrificing the service. So if you're going to make the jump, might as well do it through Golden Bluetooth and get the best rate possible while helping the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Yes, West Virginia 56. Absolutely right. West Virginia will be playing Maryland in the first round of the Big Dance. We will definitely talk about that. Not sure if I'm going to live stream that or not. We'll think about it. I probably will, but I can't commit to it because of everyday family life. So you never know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis when you got a family. So we'll try to do it, but I'm not going to commit to it. So in this video, once again, yes, we will be talking about the Pac-12, but it seems like the Pac-12 teams, they're going to give George Kliavkoff a chance. From what I'm hearing, they're going to give him a chance. And it all depends on the TV deal that comes out. So apparently there's still some odds and ends that need to be worked on and tied down as far as the actual TV deal. And, some of these university presidents and athletic directors have come out and said, we're not leaving the Pac-12 before we see that TV deal. We have to at least see the TV deal. Now, we heard from the Arizona State athletic director. They're straight up saying we're not leaving, even after they see the TV deal. They're not leaving. They are committed to the Pac-12. They're not leaving, and we've been basically saying that the entire time because Arizona State, made that clear early on in the process. So that really doesn't surprise me. And then today, I should have had it out ready, but I didn't. Of course, where is it? It was. So many things I have written down. It was a tweet by Rick Jr. If you watched the video earlier today, then you already know this, but for everybody that doesn't, it says tidbits from University of Arizona President Robert Robbins' chat with John Wilner reiterates the Pac wants to stay together, no school would leave for the Big 12 prior to being presented with a media rights deal. All comes down to Kliavkoff crafting a good deal. So there is a lot of pressure on George Kliavkoff. He has got to pull a really good TV deal if he wants everybody to say. I'm not saying that nobody's jumping. What I am saying is nobody's jumping until they see this new TV deal to see how good it is or how bad it is. If it is a good enough TV deal, then obviously more teams are going to stay. I mean, it's almost like common sense. If he comes up with a good TV deal, I mean, teams are going to stay. So the president of University of Arizona, he's basically stating common sense. He comes out and says, nobody's going to leave prior to seeing this TV deal. So it comes down to, can George Kliavkoff come up with a good enough TV deal to keep the teams happy? That's the biggest question that everybody has asked. Prior to this, the president, I don't know if it was the president or the athletic director of University of Arizona, one of the two came out and voiced their displeasure with the direction that the TV deal was going, how long it was taking, the fact that the Big 12 beat them to a TV deal. That was one of the biggest things that people did not like at all. At all. So George Kliavkoff, the reason I don't have confidence in George Kliavkoff coming up with a good TV deal is he hasn't made a good decision yet. Somebody, seriously, if I'm missing something, let me know. What decision by George Kliavkoff has been a good decision? There's a lot of things you have to take into consideration too. Getting jumped in line by the Big 12, which the Big 12's TV deal ends a year after the Pac-12, but they were still able to nail theirs down before the Pac-12. Brett Yormark knew that there was only so much money out there to be had, so he knew he wasn't going to get a fantastic TV deal like the SEC and the Big Ten, but he knew that there was only so much money out there, so it was important to get as much of that as possible and to get it as soon as possible as well, and that's exactly what he did. George Kliavkoff did not do that. George Kliavkoff thought that he could compete with the SEC and the Big Ten and basically made it an open bidding war. Made it an open bidding war saying, hey, this TV deal is going to go out to the highest bidder. And we've seen the type of thing that it's turned into. Bonehead, that's a great comment. Grant of rights will not be signed. I'm not predicting that they won't be signed by everybody, but until they are signed, the Pac-12, yes, is endangered. The comment that the president of the University of Arizona made is, and I said it at the beginning of the show, it's basically common sense. Nobody's leaving until they see the TV deal. Maybe George Kliavkoff is able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Maybe he is able to nail down a great TV deal. Who knows? But everybody's leaning in the direction of this is not going to be a good deal. It's going to be leaning heavily towards streaming, and the Pac-12 might actually have to pay for their own production costs if it is heavy in streaming. MLS is heavy in streaming, and they have to pay $60 million a year in production costs for streaming the games. So if it's streaming heavy, then you got to factor in the costs as well, and we could be talking as low as 18 to 20 million per team per year, or maybe 22 million per team per year. Or maybe George Kliavkoff does indeed pull a rabbit out of the hat and they can approach the Big 12's contract and everybody stays happy, everybody stays satisfied. My question is this. Even if let's say if, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, all right? Let's say the Pac-12 gets a TV deal that's close to the Big 12, all right? And the Big 12 is paying out what? 31.5 million per team per year, right? Let's just say that the Pac-12 grabs 30. They're able to lock down 30 million per team per year, right? So that seems like a decent amount for everybody to stay. But you also have to factor in Oregon and Washington. Oregon and Washington want unequal revenue share. So if Oregon and Washington are sticking to those principles and they're like, hey, we're the best brands, we're the most valuable brands, without us, the Pac-12 will surely sink, so we need unequal revenue share. Are they going to give Oregon and Washington unequal revenue share off of 30 million per team per year? There's multiple hurdles that the Pac-12 have to overcome. It's not just locking down the TV deal or a decent TV deal. Then you have to, see if Oregon and Washington want to stick to an unequal revenue share. Then you got to figure that out. And then Oregon and Washington have said that they do not want to sign past 3 years on a grant of rights. So you got to figure that out. And, oh, yeah, don't forget, you still owe Comcast $50 million. So that's going to come out of it. So it's something that, Tim, that has been reported, actually. Like, that was reported, like, what was it, 2 months ago? It was like 2 months ago, so maybe a month and a half. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at the videos. But the unequal revenue share for Oregon and Washington, that was actually reported. That wasn't just like me. What was it? Speculating. That was actually reported. So multiple hurdles for the Pac-12. Here's the thing: maybe they do get over all those hurdles. Maybe it's possible. I mean, we can't totally rule out the Pac-12. I mean, think about this. Whenever Texas and Oklahoma announced that they were headed off to the SEC, everybody thought that the Big 12 was dying. And I made video. Here's the thing. Okay, listen to this, guys. All right, here's the thing. Video after video after video I made about the Big 12 dying. Nobody got mad. Nobody took it personal. Nobody acted like big kids. But this go around, whenever the Pac-12 lost USC and UCLA, I followed the same exact pattern that I followed whenever the Big 12 lost Oklahoma and Texas. And all of a sudden, people are taking it personal and saying, go to Blue Dude, you're going to lose a lot of support. Go to Blue Dude, you're going to lose a lot of subscribers if you stay on this story. Go to Blue Dude this, go to Blue Dude that. What is the difference between the Big 12 story and the Pac-12 story? What changed to where it was okay for me to talk about that, but it's not okay for me to talk about the Pac-12 possibly getting picked apart? Now, the option is still out there. Big 12 survived, right? So it's happened before. It can happen again. The Pac-12 could most certainly survive this. It is definitely on the table. It is definitely possible. But it's also definitely possible that teams might bolt. It's possible that George Kliavkoff can't land a TV deal good enough to keep everybody, or to keep Oregon and Washington around for longer than 3 years. So let's say the Pac-12 does survive this, and they do land, somewhat of a decent TV deal. Not quite as much as the Big 12, but approaches. How long is the grant of rights that all these teams will be willing to sign? Is it going to be 3 years like we've been hearing from Oregon and Washington? 5 years? Is it going to be an extended grant of rights, 10 years? Whatever that length of time is, by the time it comes back around for a new TV deal, they're going to be in the same exact situation, because they're looking at teams that nobody ever thought the Pac-12 was going to look at. They're looking at San Diego State, which I think, I'm not knocking the Pac-12 for getting San Diego State or trying to. I think San Diego State is a good move. I really do. Losing USC and UCLA, it kind of, sort of, maybe softens the blow a little bit. It keeps a TV market in Southern California. It makes a lot of sense. So I'm not knocking that. I am not knocking the Pac-12 going after San Diego State. What I am saying is, if you would have rewound the tape, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and told Pac-12 fans and officials and whoever, hey, here in a few years, you're gonna lose USC and UCLA, and you're gonna be talking to San Diego State, you're gonna be talking to SMU, and you're gonna be talking to Colorado State. You would probably got laughed at. Because it's a fact. They do have an elitist attitude, and I'm not saying that they haven't earned that elitist attitude, because Pac-12, arguably the best academics conference in the nation, definitely the best research conference in the nation. So I'm not saying that they haven't earned that title, but they have stuck to that principle of being the elitist and only accepting the best of the best. So nobody would have believed you. Not only would nobody would have believed you, but they would have probably made fun of you. So the reason I said that is it shows you that the Pac-12 could be approaching desperation mode. Adding these teams really only adds numbers. Okay, they're not going to add any value to this TV deal. So are these teams going to be okay with more teams, especially if it's a bad TV deal? Because that's going to be more mouths to feed. You think Colorado State actually adds value to the Pac-12 or to the TV deal? No offense to Colorado State fans. I know I have a few subscribers out there, but does Colorado State actually add like money to the TV deal? No, they don't. SMU? No, they don't. San Diego State? I don't think San Diego State adds, but I don't think San Diego State hurts. This is why I like the pick of San Diego State. I am not knocking that at all. I think that bringing in San Diego State and perhaps Fresno State and definitely swallowing their pride and taking Boise State. I think Boise State would help a lot with that TV deal. Would at least keep everybody at the same level and wouldn't drop the TV deal number. But when you start talking about Colorado State and SMU and a possible fourth mystery team, who could the fourth mystery team be? Is it Fresno State? We've heard that Fresno State could be on the board. Not for sure. Kind of flirted around with it. John Waffle H2P, thank you for the $1 donation. Says, are you a lawyer? I am not a lawyer. Are you a lawyer? Can you give us the legal advice on this? Because I am definitely not a lawyer. If you are, I'm open to legal advice. But I am not a lawyer at all. I don't know why you asked that, but no, I'm not a lawyer. But as far as teams actually adding to the value, I don't think Colorado State and SMU does it. I don't think San Diego State adds to it, but I don't think San Diego State hurts it. I think San Diego State is a smart choice. I think Fresno State would be a smart choice. It gives you another brand in the state of California. It kind of softens that blow a little bit more as far as losing USC and UCLA. Fresno State is one of the better brands out there remaining as far as the Group of 5 brand. Let me ask y'all this. Do you think the Pac-12 has any shot of getting any Power 5 team in the entire nation? Any shot? Do they have any shot of getting any Big 12 teams? Well, no, not if they've all signed the grant of rights. Any shot of getting any of the Big 10 teams? No, no shot. SEC teams? No, no shot. ACC teams? No, no shot. Pac-12 has a 0%. Zero. This is a fact. This is not speculation. This is a fact. Pac-12 has a 0% chance of getting a Power 5 team at this point in time. Zero. None. Nada. Not going to happen. So they have to look at the Group of 5, and they have to get the best brands that are available. I just don't think Colorado State is one of the better brands available. It doesn't make any sense. It does not add to the revenue spectrum of this TV deal. Same with SMU. Now, it gives them a footprint in the state of Texas, so it's not the worst decision in the world by the Pac-12 to go after SMU, but it certainly doesn't help as far as adding to the money. And that's what the Pac-12 needs to be focusing on right now. It's one thing to survive, and it's another thing to set yourself up for the future. And it looks like right now that the Pac-12 is simply trying to survive. It doesn't look like they're about to make decisions or they're trying to make moves to try to set themselves up for the next renegotiation for the TV deal. It looks like we just got to get through this, guys. If we can get through this, we're going to be okay. I'm not seeing any moves being made that's going to be like, all right, if we do this now, then, 5-10 years from now, we'll be able to do this. I'm not seeing anything like that. So they are in survival mode. And I saw somebody mention the word ultimatum because I do have that in the title. And the reason I put that in the title is because of the tweet that I read earlier from Rick Jr. If you weren't here for that earlier, let me reread that. Tidbits from University of Arizona President Robert Robbins' chat with John Wilner reiterates the PAC wants to stay together. No school would leave for the Big 12 prior to being presented with a media rights deal. All comes down to Kliavkoff cutting a good TV deal. So the ultimatum could be if George Kliavkoff doesn't come up with a decent TV deal, teams are gonna start walking. I 100% believe that. Now, we'll see if George Kliavkoff can do it. It's possible. You got to look at both sides of the coin. It's not looking great. It's not looking great for the Pac-12, but at the same time, they still exist, which means they still have a chance. No team has announced that they're leaving for the Big 12 or the Big 10. That hasn't happened. That hasn't happened. So we don't know. We don't know. We're going by what direction this whole thing looks like it's taking. Maybe it does a complete 180. Maybe it flips on its head. Maybe the Pac-12 surprises everybody, shocks the world. Everybody signs the grant of rights, and the Pac-12 gets not. Let's say this. Let's say not only the Pac-12 gets a decent TV deal, they get a better TV deal than the Big 12. Who thinks that the Pac-12 has a good shot of getting a better TV deal than the Big 12? Does anybody think that? I think that they could approach it. I do. I think there's a chance. George Kliavkoff has to make the right decisions. But you got to realize the Pac-12 does have some premier brands in there. Bigger brands than the Big 12. Why they're in this situation to begin with, I have no idea. They still have Washington and Oregon. Two big-time brands. Two brands that are head and shoulders above any brand in the Big 12. Any of them. Head and shoulders. Clear separation. And then you have a notch lower, but still pretty good. We got Utah. I know Colorado's had some issues with football, but as a brand overall, they're a decent brand. Arizona State. Now, whenever it comes to athletics, maybe not so much with Cal and Stanford, but academics, definitely Cal and Stanford. And then you have Oregon State and Washington State. So overall, the Pac-12 has the brand strength to pull it off. They do. It's not like they're filled with a bunch of scrubs and there's no hope. There is hope. It's can George Kliavkoff make the decision? Can he negotiate properly? Can he lock something down that reflects what the Pac-12 has? That's what's not making sense to me. It seems like George Kliavkoff is not able or isn't in the process. Maybe he can pull it out in the end. I don't know. But right now it looks like he's struggling to lock down a deal that reflects the brands that they have. The Pac-12 has great brands. I have never disputed that. Losing UCLA and USC definitely hurt them. 100% hurt them. That's the LA TV market. I think the LA TV market is number 2 in the nation, right behind New York City. So, yeah, that definitely hurt. But even with those brands gone, they are not in the same shape as the Big 12 was whenever they lost Oklahoma and Texas. They still have Oregon and Washington. And then below them, they still have Utah, the Arizona schools, and Colorado. Even Oregon State and Washington State are decent. And then you want to talk about academics? Cal and Stanford, they're the elite of the elite. They have the brands over there. This comes down to George Kliavkoff. John Waffle H2P, thank you for the $4.99 donation. Says, I am working on it, but you can't get legal advice without any legal training. You can't. Am I reading that right? You can't get legal advice with. Are you meaning give? You can't give legal advice without any legal training. Okay, I understand that. That's fair enough. I just asked that because you asked me if I was a lawyer, and I don't know why you asked that. I'm not giving legal advice, so I don't know why you asked that. So that's why I kind of flipped the question on you and asked if you were a lawyer, and if you did you have any insight on it? So yeah, that okay, I got you. But it kind of confused me because you asked me if I was a lawyer first, and I'm like, no. Are you a lawyer? Do you have any legal advice on this? So that's why I asked that's what I asked what I asked. That's why I asked what I asked. Finally got it right. I knew I was going to get it right. I got it right. No, I was not giving legal advice. I have never given legal advice. I am not a lawyer. This is my opinion based on what I've seen, what I'm hearing. And like I've said many, many times, nobody, absolutely nobody knows what's going to happen until it happens. I've said this story several times. I learned my lesson when it comes to conference realignment predictions because I had some sources that were very, very close to the ACC situation, and they were telling me over and over, gold and blued, I'm telling you, Notre Dame and West Virginia are going to the ACC. So I made prediction after prediction after prediction after prediction, and guess what? It didn't happen. I had faith in those sources. I thought they were 100% true. They were not. So I learned my lesson right there. I've learned my lesson. No more predictions. But I can speculate and give you my opinion and try to figure out what's going to happen. We don't know what's actually going to happen, but we can try to figure it out. And I'm open ears. I listen to everybody's input. So like, oh, go to blue. What if this happened? I mean, I get video of this all the time off my live shows, whether it's regular comments, super chats, whatever. That's how the Get It game was formulated. I literally encourage people to leave video ideas in the comment section of my videos, and boom, video ideas. So yes, I am definitely wide open to suggestions or other theories or other opinions. It's not just my way or the highway. Not at all. I'm not trying to be right all the time. I'm definitely human. Definitely not a bot. Definitely not a robot. I have been wrong before, and I will be wrong again. I will. It will happen. But for the Pac-12, it just doesn't make sense as far as how we got to this point, seeing as how the brands that they have right now are much stronger than the brands that the Big 12 had after Texas and Oklahoma were taken away. Bob Bowlesby made a great, quick reaction decision by going out and getting BYU, Houston, Cincinnati, and who am I missing? BYU, Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati. That was a great move, but it was a reaction move. If you want to get ahead in this conference realignment game, you cannot react. Look what happened to the Big 12. They're in a better position than what they were right when they lost Oklahoma and Texas, but it took something really, really drastic to happen before they made a decision like that. And now we're seeing the Pac-12 also making reaction decisions because apparently they didn't see USC and UCLA leaving as well. And the reaction is trying to go out and get San Diego State, Colorado State, SMU, and who is that fourth team, by the way? A lot of speculation going on about that. Is it Fresno State? Is it another Texas brand? Perhaps Rice? Rice has the academics to be in the Pac-12. What about Tulane? I would say the Pac-12 needs to look at Tulane. Tulane has AAU status. That stretches the Pac-12 a little more east, gets them into the Louisiana TV market, gets them into the Louisiana recruiting area. I think Tulane would be a great pickup for the Pac-12, but I don't know who exactly it is. I haven't even heard any type of rumor to point me in the right direction. All I've heard is there's a possible fourth team that the Pac-12 could be talking to. Okay, that told me absolutely nothing. I have no idea. But the three names that we do know, San Diego State, SMU, Colorado State, that doesn't seem like a confident decision, I guess is the best way to put it. A decision like that doesn't seem like it's projecting confidence by the Pac-12. You haven't heard anything about, the Pac-12 going after, I don't even know who I could throw out there. Fresno State definitely would be one of the better brands, and we heard that maybe they had brief talks with them. Let's see, maybe, Boise State, but their academics aren't up to standard with Pac-12, so I don't see them trying to go after them. I don't know, guys. I really don't. What about I mentioned Tulane. I think they should go after Tulane. What about a UAB? I think UAB would be better than a Colorado State or an SMU. They have supreme academics. It would stretch you even more east, get you into the Alabama TV market and the Alabama recruiting grounds. And I don't know. It's really tough to think of brands that the Pac-12 can bring in that would strengthen them. You can always get brands that boost up the numbers, but who out there that's left could the Pac-12 get that could actually help their TV deal? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, guys. I don't know what to tell you. So it feels like the Pac-12 is sort of preparing. I don't know if you would call it a mass exodus, but definitely some teams leaving. I feel like the Pac-12 knows that there are some teams for leaving, that there are some teams that are about to leave, and they're trying to, maybe stockpile some teams to fill that void. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off. Maybe I'm way, way off, and somehow, some way, these new teams do help with the TV deal, and they get a TV deal that's as good as, if not better than, the Big 12. I don't know, and they're able to sign Oregon and Washington to another 5 to 10 years on a grant of rights, and then the next TV negotiation go around, they're able to actually pick off from the Big 12. I don't know. I'm trying to look at the brightest of all bright sides for the Pac-12, and none of that is like fitting the narrative that we're seeing right now. None of that is fitting. So I don't know. I don't know how to approach that. Tim Prangley said, "I'm not sure how they could counter powerhouses like BYU, UCF, Houston, and whoever the third one." That's straight up trash talk, dude. Because for a fact that those were the four best Group of 5 brands that you could possibly get. The only one that I would argue would be Houston. I think the Big 12 should have got either Memphis or Boise State over Houston. But I understand why they got Houston. You lost Texas, which is a Texas brand. Houston has a top 5 TV market, even though their fan base isn't loyal and they're not capturing a large percentage of that. I understand it. But the Big 12 picked up the 4 best Group of 5 teams that you could possibly get. The Pac-12 is not even getting the best of the rest. If you're going to get Group of 5 teams, don't you want to get the best? I'm not saying, and to your point, Tim, I'm not saying that all 4 of those teams are powerhouses. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is the Big 12 got the best of what was available. It doesn't look like the Pac-12 is trying to get even the best of what's available, except for San Diego State. I do think that San Diego State is the best of what's available. But Colorado State is the best that's available. SMU is the best that's available. I don't know. I don't know. Tim says, no disrespect to those schools or their fans, but Golden Blue Dude, imagine if the Pac talked about adding these schools even a year ago. People would have laughed. Not as much as they would have laughed about Colorado State, SMU, and San Diego State. Maybe they would have laughed, yes, but not as much as what the Pac-12 is looking at now. Like, if you're comparing the the four group of 5 teams that the Big 12 brought in and the group of 5 teams that the Pac-12 is looking at, there's no comparison. They're not even the best of the rest, except for San Diego State. I would say that San Diego State is the best of the rest. But I would put Tulane above Colorado State and SMU, especially for all the criteria that the Pac-12 requires. I would say Tulane would be a must-get, to be honest with you. And I understand SMU because they're in Texas, but, I mean, my gosh, their fan base is asleep right now. And SMU has had some pretty good football seasons. The fan base don't care. It just doesn't. I know they're in the DFW, but, man, they don't care. They'd rather take a nap than watch an SMU game. So, I mean, if that's what the Pac-12 is into as far as adding fan bases that don't care, they hit the jackpot with SMU. And if they're interested in universities and brands that don't really add any value, they hit the jackpot with Colorado State as well. San Diego State is a good pickup. Said it many, many times throughout this live show. Good. Great pickup. Probably the best pickup right there. It's these other schools that I'm like, man, I did not see that coming. Somebody please explain that one to me. SM freaking U. Oh my gosh, it's not a good. Colorado State. Oh, they lock in that in-state rivalry with Colorado. That's going to bring them big bucks. Can you really look at me with a straight face and say that Colorado State's going to bring in big bucks for the Pac-12? Because if you can or think you can, then you just think differently. You're not seeing it for what it is. I mean, yes, that's a good rivalry, and I think the fan bases care about it a lot. I do. But nobody else does. I mean, that's just nothing. It's nothing. It's funny that even Tony Altimore was saying Colorado State. A lot of sources said Colorado State. A lot. I mean, I might have to dig them up, but you know what? I can make a video on all the sources that I had for Colorado State. That was a big deal, actually. It surprised me because I didn't see Colorado State. I didn't see the Pac-12 adding Colorado State, and then I just saw a bunch of videos, and then I saw some articles about it, and then I saw Altimore talking about it. So, I mean, I definitely was not the first person to start talking about Colorado State to the Pac-12. So, I mean, I don't know what you're driving at right there, because I'm pretty sure you're aware that not just myself has been talking about Colorado State, the Pac-12. And then everybody knows about SMU, and SMU doesn't move the needle at all. Does anybody truly believe that SMU adds value to the Pac-12? Like, truly? Like, for real? SMU, the savior of the Pac-12. Is that good? Does that ring a bell? Does that hold true? Colorado State, saving the Pac-12. Does that stand the test of time? San Diego State, saving the Pac-12. Good, right there. And I hate lumping San Diego State in that, because I really like San Diego State. They just invested a lot of money into their football stadium. Their fan base is starting to get into it. They are in Southern California. I already talked about Houston. BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston, way better than anything that the Pac-12 is looking at. Way better. UCF, yeah, I would call UCF to say, well, I guess Sayer was a strong word for what I was using for the Pac-12. But if we're going to go apples to apples, then I would say yes for UCF, because they do have the largest on-campus student body. They're in Orlando, which is where Disney is, which is owned by ESPN. So you're getting your foot in the door on a great hotbed of recruiting. You just landed in one of the best states in the entire nation. UCF brand versus the SMU brand, not even close, not a comparison. Next, yes, I would say UCF would be much more of a savior than SMU. I would say that UCF is much more of a savior than Colorado State. Yes, I would say UCF is much more of a savior than San Diego State. Cincinnati, yes, over SMU, yes, over Colorado State. About the same with San Diego State. I might even give the edge slightly to San Diego State on that one. BYU slams all the brands that the Pac-12 is looking at. Houston is a little more of an argument. The other three pretty much slams all the brands that the Pac-12 is looking at. Houston, I'm not buying Houston all that much. I mean, they're just a part of that big TV market. That's it. I mean, that's it. I don't know. And you know, the tipping point between Cincy and San Diego State is location. I would say that would tilt it in favor of San Diego State. So slight favor of San Diego State, but UCF slams them all. BYU slams them all. The only brand that Cincinnati doesn't slam is San Diego State, and that's in favor of San Diego State. And then Houston, I would say Houston beats SMU, Houston beats Colorado State, but does not beat San Diego State. I would give that definitely in favor of San Diego State. So that backs up what I've been saying. San Diego State, great pickup. Colorado State, no, not good. SMU makes no sense except to say, hey, we have a university in the state of Texas. That's the only thing that does for the Pac-12. I mean, how else does it help? It doesn't. Oh, we got a TV market in Dallas that nobody cares. It's kind of like the Big 12 picking up Houston. Oh, we have a university in a top 5 TV market. Yeah, except nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're all fans of either Texas or Texas A&M. That's it. So yes, I would agree that Houston was selling snake oil to the Big 12, just like SMU is selling 2 quarts of snake oil to the Pac-12. Makes no sense. I mean, are we really having this conversation? Am I really having to explain this? Are we really having to explain this? I mean, it's really like right in front of you, like common sense, really. Would anybody in their right mind take Colorado State over any of the group of 5s that the Big 12's bringing in? What about SMU? San Diego State. That's the only argument. I would take San Diego State over Cincinnati as far as brand, and I would take San Diego State over Houston. Close for UCF, not BYU. So that's what I've been saying the entire time. San Diego State, great pickup. I like it. I am not knocking them at all. It's Colorado State and SMU. Whatever argument that you try to put out there, there is no argument for those 2 brands. They're not good. They do not add value. You want to compare those 2 brands to the brands that the Big 12 brought in? They get slammed. The 4 group of 5s that the Big 12 brought in slams all the brands that the Pac-12 are looking at. Slams them. I mean, afterthought. Not even close. Not only beats, big gap. 100 car lengths. 100 horses lengths. Whatever you want to call it whenever you're judging a race. That's why I compared SMU to Houston. You're exactly right, Tim. SMU is in the Dallas market, just like Houston is in the Houston market. But guess what? Nobody cares about either of those teams in those TV markets. Nobody. That's why I made that comparison. So I appreciate you bringing that up again, because that, once again, that's exactly how it is. Now, if Houston I'll put them in together. If Houston and SMU had the same brand strength as USC, that would be a different story. You would be picking up 2 teams, 2 universities that had massive TV markets and the city cared about them. This is why the Pac-12 losing USC and UCLA hurt them badly. But to be honest with you, I think if the Big 12 lost Houston, it wouldn't hurt them. Not even a little bit. In fact, I think it would be a good thing. Then you'd have room to take on a Memphis or Boise State, something like that. Same thing with the Pac-12. If they get SMU and lose SMU, it's like, oh, SMU was a member here. I didn't feel any impact whatsoever. I don't think Houston's going to make that big of an impact. And I know I have Houston subscribers, and you guys are going to be mad at me. I get it. Maybe you can build something to where you are relevant and the fans do care. I'm speaking about the here and now. Right now, Houston doesn't matter. They don't. Basketball, you do, but we're not talking basketball. We're talking football and what really drives conference realignment. And it's just like SMU. They don't matter. Colorado State is even worse. Even worse. So basically, yeah, I would say all the brands, except for Houston, slam all the brands that the Pac-12 is looking at, except for San Diego State a little bit better than Cincinnati. That's it. So I would, if you're comparing San Diego State to Houston, I would give the win to the Pac-12. And if you're comparing San Diego State to Cincinnati, I would give the win to the Pac-12. But comparing Houston to Colorado State, win the Big 12. Houston to SMU, win to the Big 12. BYU to San Diego State, win to the Big 12. BYU to Colorado State, win to the Big 12. BYU to SMU, win to the Big 12. Cincinnati to Colorado State, win to the Big 12. Cincinnati to SMU, win to the Big 12. UCF to San Diego State. Yep, I'm going to give it to the Big 12. UCF to Colorado State. Yep, I'm going to give it to the Big 12. UCF to SMU. Yeah, I'm going to be. So, like, 3 wins compared to, like, what, 12 to 13 wins in the Big 12? It's not even comparable. And it's because San Diego State is a great, amazing pickup for the Pac-12. Considering what they lost and considering what they needed, it's a good pickup. This is what I'm not understanding with the Pac-12. You need to feel what you need, not just go out and get whoever. So a need was you lost USC and UCLA, so you needed at least a brand to try to help soften that blow. San Diego State fits that perfectly. Perfectly. I would say go out and get Fresno State, and it would help just a little bit more. Doesn't make up for it as far as significantly, but it helps. That was a need. You're filling it. What does Colorado State feel? What need does Colorado State feel? What need does SMU? What need does SMU feel? No, it doesn't make any sense. Tulane would feel a Pac-12 need over SMU or Colorado State. I would say even Rice. At least they have elite academics, something that the Pac-12 looks into. I know their fan base doesn't care about their football team just about as much as SMU, but their academics are way, way better. So at least, you're tipping it in that direction a little bit more. So I don't understand the teams that they're choosing. You need to choose teams that are going to help your needs. Colorado State does not help with the need at all. SMU does not help with the need at all. San Diego State, yes, it does. You need to be looking at Fresno State. You need to be looking at Boise State. That would be trying to address a need because you're trying to recoup some of that football brand that you lost. Boise State comparable to USC? No, absolutely not. But it helps. Anything that helps with that is what you need to be looking into. Beyond that, I would say Tulane. Here's the 4 teams that I think that I'm just going to give it out. I might do a video on this tomorrow. The 4 teams, since all the Power 5 teams are off the board, you're not getting any Big 12 team because they all signed their grant of rights. You're not getting any Big 10 team, SEC team, or ACC team. So you are stuck in Group of 5 land, just like basically the Big 12 was stuck in the first go around. So here are the 4 teams that you need to be going after. Okay, you need to be going after San Diego State. All right, that's a check. You are going after San Diego State. That is addressing a need, and it is at least attempting to fill it. Southern California TV market, a fan base that halfway decent cares, and a team that's actually pouring money into their football program. New stadium. Tim Prangley, your comparisons are not making any sense. Of course, BYU does not equal UT. Of course, UCF does not equal OU. Does any of the brands that the Pac-12 is bringing in equal UCLA and USC? You're starting a different argument. That doesn't make sense, buddy. That comment does not make sense. Of course it doesn't. We're talking about brands versus brands. The brands that the Big 12 brought in versus the brands that the Pac-12 are trying to bring in. That's where the comparison is. Not does BYU equals Texas. No, not even. This is why everybody thought the Big 12 was going to die. Because losing Texas and Oklahoma, monumental losses. Monumental losses. Nothing was going to equal that. BYU does not equal Texas. I will say this. BYU plus Cincinnati, plus UCF, and plus Houston doesn't equal one Texas. I would say maybe all four of them would come close to equaling in Oklahoma, but still not quite. So that comparison doesn't make sense. Throw that out the window. Just like none of these brands the Pac-12 is looking at would equal a USC and a UCLA. That doesn't equal out. You got to look at what the Big 12 got versus what the Pac-12 is trying to get, and it's not even close. That's why the argument is getting changed around, because everybody knows that's a fact. So they try to switch it around. Let's change this argument because that's correct. None of those brands match up, and the Big 12 got better brands than anything than what the Pac-12 is looking at. Save San Diego State. San Diego State, I believe, is a good brand, and I think they're better than Houston for sure, and maybe slightly better than Cincinnati. But Colorado State and SMU can't hold a candle put together against BYU, Cincinnati, or UCF, maybe Houston if you put them together. Otherwise, they just don't make sense. So, no, none of those brands equal Texas. None of them brands put together equal Texas. None of them brands equal Oklahoma or put together equal Oklahoma, just like the same for the Pac-12. The Pac-12 could try to get 10 brands put together, and it still wouldn't equal USC. And it wouldn't make up the loss of losing the LA TV market. That's just not possible. You'd have to go out and get like an Ohio State to replace that, or a Notre Dame. So we're headed down comparison land where it's not possible. You can't compare a Group of 5 brand to a Texas brand. Texas is one of the biggest brands in the entire nation. That didn't make sense at all. I didn't understand that comment, like why you said that at all. What was the point of that comment? Like, I just wasted like 10 minutes of my live show because of it. My point was the brands that the Big 12 brought in are far and away, not even debatable, better than the brands that the Pac-12 are bringing in, except for a few that aren't quite as good as San Diego State. That's it. And that's why it looks like the Pac-12, to me, and this is just my opinion, it seems like it would be better if the Pac-12 didn't get these brands. Because to me, it seems like the brands are just more mouths to feed, like more slices to cut the pie up. They don't add to the pie. They just add more pieces to the pie. So I don't understand that. Tim says the brands that the Big 12 brought in does not make it a better conference than the Pac-12. How about that? I agree. 100% agree. 100% agree. And that's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense why the Pac-12 is in the position that they're in. I'm agreeing with that. 100%. You are correct. Here's what it comes down to. Brett Yormark outsmarted George Kliavkoff. Why? The Big 12 does not have the brands that the Pac-12 has. They don't. And I thought I made that clear, but I guess I didn't because you still asked that. So he was able to jump the line, get a TV deal north of $31 million per team per year, and the Pac-12 is struggling, even though the Pac-12 has better brands than the Big 12. That's the problem that I see. That is the issue that doesn't make any sense. Why are they in this position at all? Why is the Pac-12 in this position? They have superior brands than the Big 12. I've never disputed that. I've never argued that. That's a fact. Whenever the Big 12 lost Oklahoma and Texas, the reason why everybody thought that the Big 12 was going to be dead was they lost their blue bloods. They lost their premier brands. How is the Big 12 going to survive? They're not going to be able to go out and get more blue bloods or big brands to fill that void. So What did they do? They did the best they could. They went out and got the 4 best Group of 5 teams they could. And that was the best that they could. Did it fill the shoes of the teams that left? Absolutely not. No, it did not. But somehow, some way, Brett Yormark jumped the line and was able to get basically as much money as possible that he could get for the Big 12, because he knew that only a certain amount of money was up for grabs. So he got the most that he could get, and now the Pac-12 is in this situation that they're in. Maybe perhaps they can come up with a TV deal that's close to what the Big 12 has. Maybe. But it goes back to the Pac-12 has better brands than the Big 12. So why are we even how did we even get to this point? How are we not talking about the Pac-12 getting a deal that's worth $40 million per team per year? Having Oregon and having 2 less teams in the Big 12. Big 12's got to slice it 12 ways. Pac-12 is now the Pac-10. They only got to slice it 10 ways. And yet somehow they're going to get a smaller TV deal than the Big 12. It tells you that Brett Yormark outsmarted George Kliavkoff. I don't know how. I don't know why. How did they have a bookkeeping error of $50 million to where the Pac-12 owes $50 million to Comcast? I mean, it's a bunch of stupid mistakes that are preventable that have put the Pac-12 in this position. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. You're right. We don't know how much the Pac-12 is going to get. But does anybody really think that the Pac-12 is going to get what they should get as far as what they're actually worth? Does anybody think that the Pac-12 is going to get $40 million a team? Because with Oregon and Washington, and then to back them up with Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, and then the great academic institutions of Cal and Stanford, plus you have Oregon State and Washington State, the Pac-12 should be pulling $40 million a team a year easy. Does anybody think that the Pac-12 is going to even approach that? No. Maybe they can get a deal that approaches what the Big 12 has, but they are not going to get a deal that reflects the value that they have. Cyclone Steve, thank you for the $2 donation, says, if is that Colorado and Arizona to Big 12 and Washington and Utah to the Big 10, then Oregon and Washington State to the Big 12. I could buy that, but a lot of people still are thinking that Oregon and Washington together. I know I've made arguments and I've talked about Utah possibly going to the Big 10. I personally don't think that's going to happen. Some of these videos that I put out and some of these ideas and scenarios, I really don't truly believe, but I'm going by, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and, it's a good story and it's entertaining. But Utah to the Big Ten, I really don't believe it. I don't. I think the 2 teams that will be headed to the Big Ten will be Washington and Oregon or Cal and Stanford. Those are the only choices. Sorry, Utah fans, but in my heart of hearts, I don't think Utah is going to the Big Ten. Do I think they have a chance? Yeah, they got a chance. They have the academics and they have a good athletics program, but no, I don't think they're headed to the Big Ten. I think it's going to come down to probably Washington and somebody, maybe Washington, Oregon, or Washington and Stanford. I'm actually leaning towards Washington and Stanford. Definitely Washington, and then a coin flip between Stanford and Oregon. Just depends on if the Big Ten wants the big fan base of Oregon or if they want the academics and research of Stanford. Comes down to that. So we'll see. T-Mac, is this a video you believe in or one you don't? Well, we've talked about so many things that some of the things I believe, some of the things I don't. I do believe that the Pac-12 is in trouble and that they're not going to come up with the TV deal that's better than the Big 12 and nowhere close to what reflects the real value. I do believe that they could come up with the TV deal that maybe saves the Pac-12 for another 3 years, and then they're in the same situation. So we'll see about that. But we've talked about so many things that there's different categories of this live show that some I believe, some I don't, and some I'm still thinking about. But Mike, I have to cut this at an hour because the past 3 days, my kids haven't gone to school, but they are actually going back to school tomorrow. So I have to do the whole take the kids tomorrow. And the reason they were out for 3 days, check this out. And this is the first time since I've lived in South Carolina. But this year, South Carolina, Pickens County has gotten zero, nothing, no, none, zero, absolutely nothing when it comes to snow. So the school didn't use any snow days. So they actually got to have a snow day break because they weren't used. So the kids do have to go back to school tomorrow. So that's why this is only going to be an hour tonight. Kind of being able to go over an hour the past 3 or 4 nights, and now it's back to the grind of having to go off at an hour. What's going on, Joey?
Hey, what's happening? I wanted to come in real quick and we've had some amazing live shows. You're doing a great job, but we have so much support. And so we have our merchandise store up, and I want everybody to know about that. You can visit topqualityshirts.com and visit. You can get shirts from Mark Rogers, Pixie and Pete, Golden Blue Dude. There's several creators that we've all teamed up together. So go to topqualityshirts.com and you can get your merchandise there for a lot of channels. But also, we've got a great partnership with Mint Mobile on this channel, and they're the reason that this channel's being supported right now. And we appreciate them a lot. If everybody would just do me a favor, I'm going to put the link in the chat for that. If you would just click on the link, go over there and look around, let them know that we're sending people their way. It lets them know that we've advertised them and stuff, and help get some people over there. So if you just go over and look around for us, we would much appreciate that over at Mint Mobile. It's just mintmobile.com/golden blue. And we appreciate all you guys.
Yeah,
The
and if
biggest
you're
thing
looking
too,
at your cell phone service, like $15 a month, you can't beat that for great cell phone service. My entire family has switched over to it, and I tell you, it's just as good as your Verizon and AT&T. It really is.
it is, because at my house, and I think everybody knows, I've got terrible service on phones and internet
Boondocks.
and everything, and Boondocks. And so I've switched over to Mint Mobile now, and I get the same service as I was getting with AT&T. Exact same.
Yep.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. I chose the big service, so I'm paying $50 a month. I was paying almost $200 a month with AT&T, and I've got the exact same thing.
Yep,
So
exactly.
it's
So
amazing.
so even the expensive plans are like $50.
Yeah, yeah, that's top of the line. Everything.
Yeah,
That's
there
absolutely
you
everything.
go. Great point
But
right there.
I'll get out of here. I just wanted to come on and thank everybody for the great support, and Golden Blue is doing
Especially
amazing.
in the off season. Especially in the
Yeah,
off season. This shouldn't be happening.
exactly. All right, love all you guys. Appreciate you. See you later, GBD.
All right, Joey. Thanks for dropping by, buddy. Arturo Balderas, thank you for the $9.99 donation. Says the Big 12 is launching the first ever conference wide pro day. Yeah, they're working with the NFL. Good point. I forgot about that. The Big 12 is launching the first ever conference wide pro day for football. What are your thoughts on that? And by the way, you say my name right every time. That I'm actually relieved because I am so scared that I'm butchering that thing. So thank you for letting me know about that. I feel much better about saying your name now. More confident. Yes, I'll talk more about that tomorrow because I just saw that today and I really didn't do any research on it. So I'm gonna make sure I know what I'm actually talking about when I address that. So I will be doing a video. I'm excited about that. It sounds pretty good, and it's the first time that any conference has done anything like that. So I'm glad you brought that up. In fact, you know what? I'm going to screenshot that and I will actually use that in my video and make sure that I don't forget about that idea because I wanted to do that anyways. Anyways, guys, I got to wrap it up. I got to do the whole school routine in the morning. Appreciate you, Arturo Balderas, for that $10 super chat there at the end. All the support, greatly appreciated, guys. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out. And if you weren't able to watch the live show and you watch the replay, it doesn't matter. If you hit that like button, it still helps these live shows. Appreciate everybody stopping by. All the comments, all the likes, all the viewers, all the super chats. Hey, it's because of you that Golden Blue has actually had a great February and a pretty good March so far as well. So you guys are absolutely amazing. And I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really do. You're making my dreams come true. But as of tonight, Wednesday evening, yep, it's official. Gold and Blue Dude is out.